Believe it or not, I was born in Africa. My folks were English. My dad was. There you go, Paul. See, I'm more African than you, I think, my friend.
I was
And
born in Africa. What are you talking about?
were you really?
I'm born in Nigeria, sir.
Well, that's where I was born.
God is good, oh.
I was born. Akabu. I was born in Nigeria, in Ibadan.
Good evening, ballers and ballettes, and welcome back to another episode of Been a Minute Season 2, episode number 2. I'm Coach Oli, and unfortunately, my co-host, Coach Anand, had something come up and couldn't make it. Nevertheless, this episode will still be awesome as we have a very, very special guest here with us today. Also on our call is Producer P. Producer P, you there?
What's up? What's up, everybody?
I'll also be introducing today's special guest as well. So this person, I've personally known him since 5th grade, and he has coached me for the last 3 years of my high school career. As a member of the BC Boys Basketball Executive for the last 10 years, and he's still active as a member. He is also the Javisa president for the last 16 years, and he's been the head coach for St. John's School Senior Boys Basketball for the last 20 years. He's been coaching senior boys basketball for the last 35 years, and just recently he was the first seed Sky Zone champion. And as a coach, his best finish at provincials was second place. And this coach is Coach Jonathan Kinman. Coach, are you there?
I am. How you doing, Ollie? Paul, good to see you guys.
Good to see you too,
Good.
Coach.
So Coach, I have a couple of rapid fire questions. You ready?
You bet.
All right, sounds good. Where are you from and where did you grow up?
Well, that's almost a loaded one. Believe it or not, I was born in Africa. My folks were English. My dad was. There you go, Paul. See, I'm more African than you, I think, my friend.
I was born in Africa. What are you talking about?
Were you really?
I'm born in Nigeria, sir.
Well, that's where I was born.
God is good, oh.
I was born. Akabu. I was born in Nigeria, in Ibadan.
Oh, nice. I'm from Owerri.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, that's too funny. So, and then my folks went back to England for 5 years. And when I was almost 6, we moved to Canada. I grew up in the prairies, grew up in Saskatchewan. And Saskatchewan is a very, very sort of really big on sports. And by the time I got there, everybody was already a pretty adept skater and hockey player, and I was way behind. And so I just picked up the other sports that we were exposed to, you know, as a youngster: volleyball, football, basketball, and football and basketball became my my big sports, my passion.
Awesome.
And and then I've been teaching in Saskatchewan, Alberta, and came to the Vancouver area in 1987.
That's quite a journey.
There you go.
Where did you go to school and what did you take?
Well, I went to school at the University of Nebraska and at a place called Union College, which was the education department there. I took education and I also took physiology of exercise.
So in the States, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you play basketball in high school or university?
Yeah, no, I played basketball all the way through high school and through my grade 12 year. And then football was my college sport. And
Okay.
funnily enough, never coached football, but been coaching basketball since 1984.
What position did you play in football, Coach?
I was the guy that had a very clean uniform that held a clipboard, and I would call in the plays. You know, back then they didn't have microphones and speakers in the helmet, right? So you had to call the play in to the. I was a quarterback, so you had to call the play in. So I did all the hand signals.
Oh yeah. You hold up the signs too.
Oh, I had the cleanest. I had 4 years of very clean uniform. Let's put it that way.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Coach, tell us a little bit about your journey. So from basketball as a player to coaching.
Well, you know, and I know Paul coaches, and I know you're coaching now. It was a no-brainer in the sense that as soon as I finished playing, I had a competitive streak and a competitive nature, and I loved sports and I loved the game, and I wanted to stay involved. And coaching was the easiest vehicle for me to stay involved. Everywhere I went and taught, there was a huge need for it. Uh, you know, either there somebody at the school I was at, nobody was coaching, or they needed help with someone coaching, and so on and so forth. So it was a really easy sort of fit. And I don't know. I just can't imagine. Well, I do. I was going to say, I can't imagine my life without coaching. Well, I guess I just spent 15 months without coaching. You know, I mean, we coached, we had practices and so on and so forth, but no games. And I'll tell you, I'm not ready to give it up. It's too much fun.
It is,
Too much
and I'm kind of in like that position, like transitioning from a player to a coach. And I completely understand how you feel back then.
Yeah.
And so besides basketball and football, do you play any other sports?
Well, again, you know, growing up in the prairies, we played everything. And, you know, volleyball, I really loved volleyball. I played that. You know, we played fast pitch softball and baseball in the summertime. Um, we didn't really start to specialize in sports until we got to probably grade 11, and some folks even in grade 12. Nowadays, kids, I think, specialize perhaps maybe a little bit too early.
No, for sure.
You know, and in retrospect, it was the best training ground for me to be not only a coach, but a phys ed teacher, because I kept playing all of it. And so that gave me the tools, you know, and the confidence that I needed to be able to carry that on when in my teaching career as well.
Absolutely. Um, so going away from the sports stuff, more personal, what's your favorite food and why?
Oh my goodness. Um,
There's too many.
well, you know, that kind of thing to me is uh, they're what we call moments. There's moments where whatever you're having is the best thing you've ever had, and then there's moments when you're craving something else. So you know, food, and I'm a foodie. I think you know that, Ollie. I love my
Yeah,
food,
yeah,
and I love to cook. And you know, I love seafood because I have a connection with the ocean and so on and so forth. Um, man, if I could go to one thing, I'd probably go to a really beautiful seared tuna steak.
your tuna. You do love your
Yeah,
fish.
you know, like a good red tuna,
Yeah.
just seared on one side and the other, and raw in the middle.
Hmm.
I mean, you know, and I because of what I do during the summer. I mean, fresh salmon all the time on the barbecue and halibut. And the other day we just had spot prawns, right? We got them live off the boat. So it's hard to narrow it down.
For sure. Yeah. Um, so what's one thing that not too many people know about you?
Well, I think that, uh, you know, if I go back to the kids that know me at school, for instance, they know me as the big guy that runs around, yells and screams, and, you know, he's all about sports. And, you know, I had a pretty extensive music background and so on and so forth. You know, during my college career, after practice, I had to sprint out of practice, afternoon practice, and went straight to a choir practice. So music was a pretty big part of my life.
Choir. You can sing?
I never said that. I said I was in the choir.
Oh, okay.
You know, I can carry a tune a bit.
I've seen videos of you playing the guitar, so I know you can play that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
So that's it for my rapid fire questions. Coach Producer P has some rapid fire questions, but first we have a commercial break we'll get to right now, so we'll be right back.
Alrighty.
This commercial break is brought to you by Sports Unlimited, located in Surrey, BC. Sports Unlimited is your home for all things team and corporate apparel. They can be reached at 604-597-3255 or online at www.sportsu.ca. Sports U, the place to be.
All right, folks, welcome back to Been a Minute. We are joined today by, I would almost call him my African brother.
Yeah, that's right, my friend.
A very dear friend of mine, Coach Jonathan Kinman. Coach, we thank you for being on our show today. And today's topic is a man, a basketball, and fishing: the journey of Jonathan Kinman. Coach, it was really good to get to know you there in that first half of the show. You know, and I know quite a bit of your story as well too. But you know, for some people that know you well, we hear that you love to fish and own a fishing company that you spend your summers tending to. Tell us about that.
Yeah, fishing with Coach Charters. Well, as a kid, I grew up fishing. That was a big thing with my dad, and then when I moved to the West Coast, it sort of, followed me, and it was something that I loved to do. And back in the '90s, for between '94 and 90 and 2000, 99, I worked and taught in a little First Nations village called Ahousaht, which is about 45 minutes by boat west of Tofino. Very big basketball community too, by the way.
Oh, very nice.
So in my spare time, I fished, and I became friends with one of the band members. He became my assistant coach, and he was a charter boat guide. He taught me everything about running charter boats, and we did whale watch charters, and we did hot springs tours, and then we sort of morphed into fishing, and then when I left there, eventually I started my own company, and I've been operating out of Banfield at Harborside Lodge now for 15 years or so.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, what kind of fish? I know you mentioned salmon before. What
Yeah.
kind of fish?
Yeah, I mean there's fish all year round, but you got to be pretty hardy to go out and fish in the middle of January on the west coast of Vancouver Island, or stupid. Not only is it cold, but it's the seas are pretty big. But during the summer, when the mature salmon runs come through, so we salmon fish, and halibut is a real big draw for a lot of people. So nice. I would say salmon, halibut, and then I don't know if you're familiar with lingcod. That would sort of be the big three. That we target.
Okay. That is awesome. I mean, real quick before I go to my next question here for you, you're a foodie. So where's, to our listeners, to our grassroots level players listening, or even parents listening to this, where in Vancouver is the best fish and chips place?
Go Fish. Do you know
is that the one by Granville Island?
Yeah, across the bay from Granville Island, right by Fisherman's Wharf.
Yes, I've been there. 100%. I agree
Ain't
with
cheap,
you there. No,
but it's quality.
It's worth it. Yes. Yep. I endorse that statement there.
There you go.
I would make the assumption that you've done a lot of traveling. Where have you been to, and what's been your most favorite trip, and why?
Well, my partners Japanese. Mikiko, she's from Japan, so we've been there a couple of times. And speaking, if you're a foodie, oh my God. I mean, that's all I did when I was in Japan.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. The year before the pandemic, we went to Australia and spent some time on the Gold Coast and spent some time in Perth, and that was mesmerizing. It just blew me away. It was absolutely wonderful. Just a trip of a lifetime.
No doubt. Did you end up checking out Bondi as well too while you're over there?
No, Bondi, that's down in Sydney or Melbourne. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Melbourne area.
Yeah. So Gold Coast is up by Brisbane.
Brisbane, yep.
So about an hour and a half, maybe flight.
Yeah.
But we did surf.
Okay, you're a surfer. All right.
I do a little more stand-up paddleboard surfing now. I don't get up as quick. I got artificial hips, so I don't get up as quick as I used to, but I still can.
Yeah.
But Mikiko had never done it before, so she came out and just loved it. Oh, it was great. We had a really good time.
That's awesome. When I was in grad school, I visited a buddy of mine out in Hawaii. Him and I went to undergrad together, and he was doing his master's at University of Hawaii. It's a beautiful place to do masters, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, he's trying to get me to go surf, and I almost did it, and then kind of I didn't wuss out. I wanted to record state. I didn't wuss out. I have a bad back, and my back was acting up, and I chose the wiser route to not.
Well, if that back ever heals up, give it a whirl. You catch one wave, and you're going, "Oh my God, I can't believe I just did that."
Oh, for sure. I'm gonna try.
Cool.
I'm gonna try it. Tofino, here I come. Coach, if you were stranded on a desert island, what 3 things that would you hope to have with you, or could you have with you?
Well, probably a fishing rod. Probably a surfboard / stand-up paddleboard.
Yeah.
And I like to read, so hope some sort of some unlimited supply of reading material.
Reading material, yes.
Yeah.
What is your go-to genre to read?
Oh my gosh, I would love to be able to tell you that I'm reading all important stuff that will teach me to better myself and better the world. I'm sort of a trashy crime thriller type, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. I like my Dan Brown books. I like
yes,
what's his name? Clancy. If I showed my bookshelf here, you'd be like,
there you go.
There you go.
Well, I'm right along with you.
We're kindred spirits in that.
Yep.
Sweet or savory?
Oh, one before the other. Savory then sweet.
All right. What is your all-time favorite basketball and/or coaching moment?
My all-time favorite basketball and/or coaching moment.
Yeah.
Well, previous to a year and a half ago, I was probably working and coaching at the All-Native tournament on the West Coast up in Prince Rupert and the junior All-Native.
Yeah. Shout out to Mel Bishop. Yeah.
Absolutely. The world doesn't really know about All-Native basketball. And if they did, it is the most amazing thing to watch, just from a cultural point of view. And they're the largest basketball tournaments in North America, and they go on for like 5-6 days, double back doors. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and on. But it's just what an honor it was to be able to be in that. And I would have to say, the other moment would have to be right there with Oliver when we won. Sea to Sky Championship there a year and a half ago. That was pretty special for me.
And that was the first year where they did the different rezoning, right? So
yeah.
So it was now called Sea to Sky versus the Lower Mainland Championships. Nice.
That's right.
Who did you guys beat?
King David.
Oh wow!
Remember
that very quickly.
Have Oliver Munn. He's going
Oliver
to
Munn, who just recently signed with UBC.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to say we had a great defensive plan. The guy dropped 46 on us.
Oh, wow. But that's okay, though, because all you need to score is 47, and you guys win.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Well, the nice thing was about that game is we knew he was going to beat us up. He's a load and he's a talented kid, but we needed to make sure that they couldn't shoot from beyond the arc. And I don't think we gave up a single three in that whole game. So
Oh, wow.
that was good.
No, it's good. That's, it's sometimes when you have talent like that, you just let them do their thing, but who's the supporting cast for them, right?
Yeah.
That's-
And it's just a wonderful thing to see those guys, like the guys that Oliver was with and Oliver himself. I mean, they committed to our basketball program from when he was about your first year, right, Ollie, in grade 5?
Yeah, we've been playing since grade 5
Right.
together.
And to see that come to fruition for them, and it's like one of those things, right? I mean, no matter where he goes, no matter what he does, Ollie is a Sea to Sky, zone. He's a zone champion,
Mhm.
the first ever Sea to Sky zone champion, and nobody will ever take that away from him. It's pretty special.
It's amazing. Same thing I always tell athletes about, staying in school, and at the end of the day, no matter what happens, once you get your degree, no one that's yours, right?
Oh,
No
yeah.
one could ever take it away from you. That
Yeah.
piece of paper is yours for life.
You bet.
Who's your favorite NBA team, Coach?
Well, back in the 90s, it was wherever Steve Nash was playing. Um, he's done so much for Canadian basketball, as you're well aware.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, 100%.
But I am definitely a hardcore Raptor fan now. I really love the culture they've developed there. It is a bit of a I don't know if throwback is the right word, but they play the game for the right reasons and they play it well. I know this year was a bit of an anomaly, but they just find talent from wherever and they know how to develop it, and they all seem to play hard for each other, and they sort of embellish those things that I want my players to play like and want my players to be like, and there's not a lot of pro teams and that maybe are like that, right? San Antonio, I think, has that same mentality, and obviously that comes from Coach Pop, who I'm a huge fan of. But
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's shout out to the Raptors. I'm friends with some of the Raptors coaching staff, and some of their executive staff. Shout out to John Wiggins if you're listening to this. And yeah, I love their culture. Every time I talk to some of their staff, whether it's over Zoom or text, we always, it's one thing we always talk about is just their player development, but their culture, how they get everyone to buy in.
Yeah, that's such a huge thing. I think
it's a huge thing. Yeah.
Yeah, with any team at any level is developing the right culture.
Yeah, 100%. And same thing with like my university boys at the University of Windsor.
Yeah.
Coach Chang and us as a coaching staff, Coach Chang does a really good job of really talking about culture, about family, and, accountability. And, he always says to our athletes, who are you without basketball? And they kind of give you this kind of, what are you talking about? I'm a basketball player, right? But, it's important that, athletes know who they are. Because if basketball's taken away from them, at least you're able to, be on time manage, all the different variables and intangibles that sport teaches you, that basketball teaches you. So culture is a very big piece when it comes to, obviously, as you know, when it comes to basketball. Last question, or second last question, Coach, before we go on to a commercial break here is, what is your favorite type of music and why?
Wow. I've got a pretty eclectic bag of tunes, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah.
I think like Eminem taught me to respect hip hop. And I can go from him to listening to Dolly Parton and Emmylou Harris.
It's quite the transition right there. Wow.
Right. And then put on some Tchaikovsky in the 1812 overture right after. So
okay. Yes.
Yeah, I don't, again, it's like my food. I don't think I could pigeonhole it to one thing. And that kind of thing is much like food. It so depends on the moment. What are you feeling?
Yes.
Like what has your internal and your external environment providing you with stimulation that will, gravitate you to a particular genre at that particular point in time. Excuse me. And those to me those are moments. And again, I mean, I won't lie. I probably, had my thumbs on the steering wheel, even, back in the 90s when the Spice Girls were happening once in a while. I can go all over the map.
Very nice. Very nice.
I can't believe I just said that.
No, that's okay. Wait, this is a podcast. The whole world now knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last question before we go to commercial break, Coach, is what is your all-time favorite basketball movie?
Oh, that's easy. That is an easy movie or question. No brainer. Hoosiers.
I knew it. I knew it.
Absolutely. Actually, for me, it's probably one of my top 3 or 4 movies of all time, period. For me, I get it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, let me ask you this, Paul. Do you remember, because I've yet to find anybody that ever watched these 2 movies. One was The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh, and it starred Dr. J.
Dr. J, yes.
You remember that?
Yes, I remember that. I mean, that's making me sound old, but yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
That one, the other one, and this one I really, really liked. I think it was called Fast Break, and it starred Gabe Kaplan from Welcome Back, Kotter. Do you remember the TV show?
Yeah,
Welcome
yeah. I recall it vaguely, but
Fast Break.
But the Dr. J, I mean, yeah, not too many people know.
Terrible movie, but it's Dr. J. So what the heck?
You got to watch it, right?
Got to watch it. But yeah, Hoosiers beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah. Before we go to the quick commercial break, I gotta ask because like I said, we're African brothers.
Yeah.
Have you seen, obviously, Coming to America 1? Everyone's seen that. You've seen Eddie Murphy. Have you seen the second one that is?
I have not. I was going to watch it, and I read a review that said it was eh.
Yeah, it was terrible. Don't even waste your time. It was terrible.
Because
I watched it.
The original was great.
Oh, the original was
charming. Great. It was charming. I love it.
All right, Coach. We'll delve more into the topic of yourself, and we have some more in-depth questions about coaching and basketball on the other side of this commercial break. This has been a minute. We'll be right back.
This podcast episode is brought to you by Form Basketball Academy, located in Vancouver, BC. Form Basketball Academy offers multifaceted programs, including one-on-one private training and film study, with NCCP nationally certified coaches. To find out more information about this and other program or league opportunities, check them out at formbasketball.com. Form Basketball Academy. Become your best with us.
All right, folks, welcome back to Been a Minute. We're joined today by Coach Jonathan Kinman from St. John's School. Coach, it was really great to know you. Get to know you there during the rapid fire questions. I know that Coach Oli he's chomping at the bit. He wants to get into the topic. Once again, the topic of today is a basketball and fishing, the journey of Jonathan Kinman. Coach Oli, take it away.
All right, we're gonna get into the nitty-gritty stuff. As a high school coach, what types of skill sets or players did you look for when assembling a team?
You know what? I didn't look for any.
You didn't look for any?
Nope.
I think I've got one thing. I think that's on your mind, but you might have not.
Go ahead. I'll tell you what I mean by that after. Go ahead.
Yeah. Like one thing you've always said to me, like as a player, is you like people that are coachable. And that's always stuck with me. And as a coach now, what I mean? Coach Paul's heard it multiple times from me. That's always my answer. I just want coachable players.
Yeah. And I know Coach Paul a bit, and I've seen him in action as well. For me, is I want the guys or the gals or whoever I'm coaching, I want them to have the same passion that I feel, or even more so.
No doubt.
And if you give me 10 kids or 5 kids or whatever it is that share that enthusiasm and the love for the game, then we can do some amazing things.
Right.
Right. But if you were going to break it down to just skill, if I was going to tell young players 2 skills that I would look for as a coach that would enable me to put them on the floor for meaningful minutes.
Yeah.
Actually, I'd say 3. The ability to defend, the ability to rebound the basketball, and then the ability to shoot. Not everybody on the floor needs to dribble. Not
Right.
everybody on the floor, needs to go through the legs behind the back. If you've got 1 or 2 guys that can do that, that's fine. But if you can space and you can shoot, you can play defense and rebound the basketball, you're going to get playing time somewhere.
Right. Absolutely. And also like people that hustle too.
Oh yeah. Well, that
this-
goes back to having the passion and
the
enthusiasm.
passion. Yeah. They
Right.
try their best, and although they might not be like talently gifted, but they have the heart for the game.
Oh
and
yeah,
They're just running all over the court for it.
absolutely.
Producer Pete, do you have another question?
Yeah, actually, it's one that we didn't prep, but I'm just thinking off the cusp here, and I know that you and I, Coach, we came together and we started the Blue Demons Eagles Invitational, and we
Love
share
that.
we share the vision of working together. Basketball is basketball is basketball. I'd say it's a universal language. We can go from here to Africa to Slovenia to Australia, and basketball is basketball. What did it mean to you? I know your heart, but I want our audience to hear it from you, hear it from the source. What did it mean to you when with my time at Kits, when we had a public school and a private school coming together to put on a tournament, which we are still doing to this very day? What did it mean to you?
Well, I think that the fact that, number one, basketball becomes a common ground, but there has been and still is to this day, not just within BC, but I know other communities and throughout Canada and the US, there is a divide often between private school and public school. There is a lack of trust between often one and the other. And I think that the fact that we could, come together and just have a tournament that was it was just kids. Didn't matter where they came from, didn't matter who they were. Kids were kids were kids. And the fact that we could do that without any questions, problems, it just was basketball. It had nothing to do with where you were from or what uniform you wore or whatever the case may be. It became, to me, very quickly what the legitimate grassroots of the game was, and that it was kids and a ball and away we go.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, within this province, and specifically within, I would say, the Lower Mainland, there are some coaches and some schools and some ADs that have forgotten necessarily. I think their heart's in the right place. I don't want to sound like I'm, judging, but at the end of the day, it's kids learning to become men and kids learning to become young women and take their place in society in a meaningful way. And basketball is the vehicle. And I think to be able to do that as a joint effort with not only a public school, but a public school that has such wonderful history and within the basketball community, I think is just a real thing to treasure.
Yeah. And I know that when I came to you with the idea, and it wasn't much convincing. I pitched it to you, and you're like, "Yep, we're doing it. Let's do it."
Oh, yeah.
And we did it. And it looks like we're going to have some sort of season again this year both at the university level and the high school level. So that tournament's running again this coming December, and like you said, it's for the kids. It's about the kids with the kids. that's all it's all about, and you put aside differences and you just let them hoop, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's where your heart is, that's where my heart is, and that's where our heart is as a program as well too, is that everything we do is for the grassroots, at the grassroots levels, for the communities, for the kids. Before we let you go, Coach, because we know we don't want to take too much of your time, we've loved having you on, and one of the things I said to you before we started the show is that our audience is grassroots level players. It's high school players. It's sometimes it's even their parents listening in, and it's people, even coaches listening in. And for us as a program, and Coach Oli knows this, form, we're about having the kids know who came before them. Understanding, the likes of yourself, the Jonathan Kinmans, the Howard Kelsey's, the Ron Putzies, the Randy Norris, and the list can grow and grow and grow. We had Coach Disborough on in season 1. We're going to, and this is a teaser, we're going to have Coach Randy Coots on in a few weeks as well too.
Oh, you gotta ask Randy about fishing in Banfield.
Definitely will. We'll
Randy
definitely.
Cootsy's been out with me at least half a dozen times.
Yeah, I think I saw a picture of you, him, and
That's right.
Stoller. I think
Donnie Stoller.
Stoller. Shout out to Don Stoller there in his retirement. But we're aligned in that sense, and so before you leave, Coach, if there's any parting wisdoms that you can give to the next generation, those that are at the grassroots level, about achieving goals, working hard, that sort of thing, what is one or two or maybe 3 pieces of advice that you would pass along?
Well, I think first and foremost is get involved. Whether you play the clarinet, the tuba, you're an ultimate player, you're a basketball player, get involved. But find your passion, find what it is that you absolutely love, and just go with it. No, put your heart and soul into it, and away you go. I mean, we had a mantra with our kids during basketball season. Ollie, I don't know if you remember this, but there were, during the season, there was the big 3, and they came in this order. The first most important thing in your life is your family, and
100%.
with that, your religious background, whatever the case be. Second is your academics, and then the third was going to be basketball. And that's more of a grade 11 and 12 player for sure, but find your passion, and if it happens to be basketball, put your heart and soul into it. You just never know where it's going to take you. And when I say that, I don't mean necessarily the NBA, but I sat in bleachers and I talked to a young man from Victoria for 2 years, going for months and months and months. And he told me his passion for the game and so on and so forth. And he wound up at Santa Clara, and then he wound up as a 2-time MVP, Steve Nash. And you don't know. It might take you there, but if it doesn't, you're going to form lifelong friends. You're going to develop the tools to overcome adversity. You're going to learn how to work hard. You're going to learn what's fair. And I, to this day, don't know what prepped me. Well, I do know. Sports, basketball, football prepped me more for life than my actual education did. And I'm not pooping on education. I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
But don't let anything stand in your way. Find a way and push your passion.
For sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you heard it directly from the man himself, the legend. Coach, thank you. And I know that Coach Oli wants to finish out here before we let you go.
Yeah, well, that wraps up our time with our amazing guest, Coach Jonathan Kinman. Like Coach Paul said, it was really awesome having you on. I know Coach Paul and I had a great time, and I hope you did too. And on behalf of Foreign Basketball Academy, thanks for coming on to our show.
You bet. And just let me tell you how much I appreciate the fact that you guys are doing exactly what I just said. You are taking your passion for the game to the next level. And those are the kinds of things that just make us better and better. So kudos to both of you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Coach. That really means a lot. Thank you so much. All right, we'll see you. We'll catch you soon, Coach. And if we don't see you before you head up to do some serious fishing for the summer, we wish you safe travels, and we'll see you in the fall.
Okay, you guys both take care. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah,
We'll be
Coach.
we'll be right
Thank
back,
you.
folks.
This commercial break is brought to you by Sports Unlimited, located in Surrey, BC. Sports Unlimited is your home for all things team and corporate apparel. They can be reached at 604-597-3255 or online at www.sportsu.ca. Sports U, the place to be.
All right, welcome back, folks, to Been a Minute. We are in season 2, and we just said goodbye to Coach Jonathan Kinman. I have had the pleasure of working with him, alongside him in the Demons Eagles Invitational, powered by the Office of St. John's. I have nothing but amazing and wonderful things to say. The laughs we've shared, the food we've drank, so we've eaten, and partook in some adult beverages as well too, but family friendly show, so we won't talk about that. Coach Oli, walk us through. I mean, you obviously played for the man, the myth, the legend, but walk us through your experience with Coach and what you took away from his time with us today.
I don't know if you know this, but Coach Kinman actually takes our grade 10s from our school every year to Banfield with him fishing.
Oh, nice.
And we go in I think first week or second week of school.
Mhm.
And that trip I went on with him, I got to know him even more. Just to see his passion and what he does. I don't remember much when I was actually out there fishing, because I took this medicine and my brain was just I almost fell in the water, because I was just falling asleep. But that trip was really fun. It wasn't like any other camp. We had mostly free time, and we just kind of hanged out with Coach and the other teachers, and we vibed out. And on court, basketball wise, he's taught me a lot. I think he actually coached my grade 8 team when I was in grade 8. And then later on, grade 10, 11, 12, I was also on the senior team. I learned a lot from him, just fundamentals, basketball plays wise, and everything I want to do to get better at the sport. He taught me.
Yeah. And he's Coach Kinman, thanks again for being on our show. He's if you guys listen to this, don't know Coach, you guys need to find out where he's at and spend just 30 minutes with him. It's life changing. And what I said earlier before is, for those that are the next generation, to know who came before them, and the joy and the passion that they have for the game. I mean, someone like Coach Kinman has been coaching now for almost 40 years, and he still has that passion, he still has that drive. For myself personally, I'm going almost on 20 years now coaching, and you see me at practice, and I'm if I can get out there and hoop, I'm trying to hoop, but
Yeah.
my old man bones, my old man knees don't let me do that anymore. So it's important that those that are listening, that if you want basketball to take you places, that you pour your heart and soul into it. Shout out to Luka Dolman, who just signed his pro contract, Forum alum. Helped him get recruited to Ryerson, and then he's now signed his pro contract to play over in Germany. And I've known Luka since he was a grade 10, and I can tell you guys, it's all through hard work and dedication. There was no corners cut. When I was doing the grade 10 team and he was on the senior team, I did senior junior that year, he would come up with the other guys, Everest, Peter, and Owen, and even Peyton. Hey, Coach, can we just dribble? Can we go up to the weight room? and that sort of thing. And yeah, go ahead and look where they are now. So super proud of Luka Doman. A little bit of a sidetrack there.
Perfect
Coach,
example of a hard work pays off.
100%. You know, and
The start for him.
what's our line? What's our line again? Nothing given,
Everything, nothing given, everything.
everything earned, and
Yeah.
you know he earned it. And what Coach Kinman said is, you got to earn it. You know, there's if it comes easy, you haven't worked hard enough for it.
Exactly.
Right? As we close out the show, Coach, we have our possession 24, and so there's obviously two things we're going to talk about. So last week we broached the topics with you and Coach Anand about our offensive and defensive DNAs as a program here at Form. So this is obviously about our defensive DNA. The question I'm going to ask you is, another one of our defense DNAs is obviously contest all shots. To our listeners, what does that mean, and why is that important?
Well, contesting means like being in the face, not necessarily being in the face of the offensive person, but at least putting a hand up or giving them some sort of distraction in their face where they can't make the shot, where the shot's not open. And this is important because we can't just give open shots on the defensive side of our team. When you play, it's kind of just like giving up on basketball on the defensive end. And contest all shots no matter what. Don't jump into them. That's gonna be a foul, but just stay on your feet and put a hand out.
Yeah, and it's also like multiple efforts too, right? Sometimes if on rotation you contest, and then someone else has to contest. You know, if there's a veer situation off the veer, you got to still contest if the ball gets moved. And you know what you said is true. Is when you contest, you know, we have a saying with my university boys is, don't let them open the window, right? So you close out before they can even attempt to even do the shot. They got to move the ball, right? Or they can try and drive, but if you close out properly, it's not hard for them to drive because you're pushing them to different push points. So you know, super important. I loved what you said about the defensive ends. You know, defense is a mindset. You know, you choose how hard you want to play on defense.
Exactly.
The offense is going to sometimes struggle. That's part of the game. But defense is totally a mindset. Am I going to play defense and guard my yard one-on-one, or am I just going to let them blow by me and just give up and not get the rebound, that sort of thing? All right, flipping over to our offensive side. What do you have for me?
On offense, our DNA is spacing and endpoints. So for those that are new or listening to our podcast, can you, Producer P, give them a rundown of what this means and why it's important for them?
Yeah, so we like to say offense is spacing and spacing is offense. And so your endpoints is, if you imagine coming off a free throw and you're coming now on offense down the court, the wings got to sprint. Either you got to sprint to to your outlet positions, or you got to sprint to the endpoint of the other baseline. And from there, you can then do corner blasts. If you have a rim run, the big man running the rim, he rim runs all the way down and then right around the tee-up position cuts over to the ball side block, that sort of thing. So it's understanding spacing. It's giving your team the opportunity to score in transition. And that only happens if you get those endpoints. And those endpoints are, we talked about, getting to the baseline or getting to the outlet positions. Again, offense is spacing. Spacing is offense. And if you're spaced properly, you allow yourself or your teammates to have double gap drives. And that might be something we'll touch on down the road.
Yeah, and when you say like running their, like when you said endpoints and like if they miss a free throw or make the free throw, in my head I kind of pictured the routes for football, like running the routes.
Yep.
And it's like just like arrows everywhere. And they have to finish at their point.
Well, it's running your routes and then running your lanes too, right?
Running
a lot of
your lanes,
times, players don't want to run their lanes, and they could get easy buckets. And one of the things that we said to our players at last practice that we had with them was, what was it? You remember that? If you play the game 5-on-5, what's going to happen?
You're gonna lose.
You're going to lose.
Yeah.
right? If you play the
100
majority
no,
game,
5-on-5 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, yes, there's gonna be times you play 5-on-5, but you want to play the game 5-on-4, 3-on-2, 2-on-1,
Mhm.
4-on-3. You know, that's you getting out in transition. You know, which we talked about our pace. We do 3-and-3, 8-and-5. Same thing with my university boys. You know,
Yeah.
we get out and run. And if you can get layups, well, we don't need to run offensive sets. We're getting layups,
Mhm.
right? And that all boils down to conditioning too. So you got to be in shape. And it's not just running at practice, it's running, you know, running when you get up in the morning, maybe running after school, running before you go to bed, you know, do all the things to keep your cardio up. Again, nothing given, everything earned. Coach, send us home.
All
Oh,
right.
before we do though,
Yeah.
coming up end of this month, end of June, we have our U17, U18 boys team is going to be hosting a tournament called the BC Hoop Summit up at UBC. We will do our best to live stream as much games as possible. That is going down June 25th to the 27th. So if you don't follow us on our socials, hit us up on Instagram at f.o.r.m.underscore basketball. We do have a Twitter account too, so find us on there at form FORM basketball. And if you want to find out more about us, or hit us up via email, check us out online on our website at www.formbasketball.com. As always, Coach Oli, thank you, and you will send us home, please and thank you.
All right. All right. Well, that's it for us this week. We have more guests lined up for our next few episodes, and Coach Anand will be back as well for the next episode. And that's it for this week. Yeah.
All right, folks. See you guys later.